Most men only realize something is wrong after months or even years of quiet warning signs. Signs they notice, ignore, and then brush off as just aging. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Your body rarely stays silent. It whispers first, long before it starts shouting. And when it comes to prostate issues, those whispers are incredibly easy to miss. Maybe it's that one night you had to get up twice instead of once. Maybe it's the way your bladder suddenly feels impatient, even when you didn't drink much water. Or the moment you realize you're staying closer to bathrooms during road trips. Not because you're worried, but because something in the back of your mind doesn't feel quite right. And yet most men don't connect these dots. They don't realize that these tiny changes, these small, almost invisible shifts in daily life, are actually the early warning signs that the prostate is under strain. And ignoring them? That's how men end up dealing with problems that could have been handled early, easily, and naturally. If you've noticed anything different about your bathroom habits, your energy levels, or the way your body feels sluggish around the lower abdomen, this video may be one of the most important you watch this year. Because the truth is, prostate issues don't appear overnight. They build slowly, quietly, and today, we're breaking down the signs most men dismiss until it's too late. Hi, I'm Dr. Hannah Blake. I know it might feel a little unusual getting health advice from a woman, but here's the thing. I've spent years helping men just like you navigate low energy, hormonal changes, and everything that comes with getting older. I'm here to give you straight answers, no fluff. So let's talk about exactly what's happening inside your body long before prostate issues become obvious, and how you can catch these changes early while the solutions are simple and effective. Here's the deal. For most men over 50, the prostate slowly becomes something they don't think about, until it forces them to. It's like that neighbor who's quiet for years and then suddenly starts knocking at your door at 3 a.m. But the knocking starts much earlier than men realize, only the sound is more subtle. It begins with small moments. Standing in front of the toilet and thinking, why is this taking longer than usual? Or finishing, but still feeling like you didn't fully empty. Some men start avoiding long movies. Others start mapping bathrooms in stores without even thinking about it. And then there's the fatigue. Not exhaustion, just a heavier kind of tired, the kind you blame on work or age. What's actually happening? Your body is working harder behind the scenes. Your bladder becomes irritated, your hormones shift, your prostate gets slightly swollen, just enough to disrupt the system. But because these changes happen slowly, most men adapt. They adjust. They ignore, until one day they realize that small inconvenience has become their new normal, and by then the prostate is already unhappy. Let's break this down simply. Think of your prostate like the ring around a garden hose. When it's healthy, water flows normally. When the ring thickens, sometimes even just a little, the hose tightens. The flow changes. There's more pressure. The bladder has to work harder, which sets off a chain reaction. Inside your body, your prostate responds to hormones, specifically DHT, a byproduct of testosterone. As you age, your testosterone slowly drops, but DHT doesn't always drop with it. For some men, it even increases. That creates imbalance. And when hormones fall out of balance, the prostate swells, stiffens, or becomes irritated. Picture a door hinge that slowly rusts. At first, it still works. Then it squeaks. Then it sticks. Eventually, it takes real effort to move it. That's what's happening inside the lower pelvis. Stiffness, pressure, reduced circulation. And circulation is key. When blood flow slows, the prostate doesn't get the nutrients it needs to stay flexible and healthy. This is also why some men experience changes in energy, confidence, or overall vitality. It's not just aging. It's a shift in how the body moves blood, hormones, and nutrients, and the prostate is at the center of that system like a traffic controller. When it gets overwhelmed, everything slows down. Hormonal imbalance also affects the surrounding muscles. The pelvic floor becomes tense. The bladder becomes more sensitive. The nerves in the area become reactive. All of this creates symptoms that seem unrelated at first, but are secretly connected. And here's the part most men never hear. Prostate issues in the early stage rarely feel like pain. They feel like inconvenience, annoyance, slight pressure, subtle changes. That's why they get ignored. Here's the good news. Early warning signs don't mean things are already bad. They mean your body is asking for help, softly, politely, and early enough for you to do something about it. And the fixes aren't extreme. They don't require expensive supplements or complicated routines. They're simple shifts that support circulation, reduce irritation, and help balance the hormones that influence prostate health. Start with hydration, but in a controlled way. Not chugging water late at night, because that's a recipe for multiple bathroom trips. Instead, drink most of your fluids earlier in the day. Your bladder resets, your prostate gets better flow, and nighttime becomes calmer. Add foods that fight irritation and support the prostate. Tomatoes for lycopene, berries for antioxidants, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower for hormonal balance, pumpkin seeds for zinc. These aren't magic foods. They simply give your body what it's missing as you age. Movement matters too. When you sit for long stretches, blood flow to the pelvic area slows. Then inflammation builds. Just getting up and walking 5 minutes every hour can relieve tension in the pelvic floor, improve circulation, and help the prostate relax. Men often underestimate how much simple movement affects the lower body. There's also the power of heat. A warm shower or heating pad across the lower abdomen can release tight pelvic muscles and ease pressure around the bladder. It's one of the easiest at-home ways to calm irritation. Next is the bathroom routine itself. Rushing creates tension. Tension tightens the pelvic muscles. Tight muscles put even more pressure around the prostate. Taking a little extra time and breathing slowly helps everything relax. This small shift alone has helped many men reduce the stop and start sensation they experience. Then, support the hormones naturally. Healthy fats like olive oil, avocados, and walnuts help regulate hormone conversion. Men who eat enough of these fats often notice more stable energy and fewer urinary changes over time. And here's a habit most men never think about: reducing long-term stress. When stress hormones stay high, inflammation increases throughout the body, including in the prostate. Breathing exercises, gentle stretching, or even 5 minutes of quiet can make a noticeable difference. Now, let's work this line into the script naturally. Quick question. Let me know in the comments where you're watching this from. I love seeing how many men around the world are taking charge of their health. As we continue, here's a short success story that shows how small changes can create a real shift. A man named Robert, 62, came to me feeling frustrated. He was getting up 4 or 5 times a night. He avoided long drives. He stopped drinking coffee because he didn't want to aggravate his bladder. When he told me his symptoms started just as minor annoyances, he shook his head and said, "I wish I hadn't ignored it." He expected to need a complicated plan, but that wasn't necessary. We focused on hydration timing, anti-inflammatory foods, walking during work breaks, and easing pelvic tension. After 3 weeks, he said, "I slept through the night twice this week. That hasn't happened in years." The confidence in his voice was different, stronger, more hopeful, and it all started with paying attention to early signs. Let me share another story, one that's emotional, honest, and incredibly common. A man named Mark, 57, reached out after a year of struggling quietly. He didn't tell his family. He didn't tell friends. He blamed himself for getting older and thought complaining would make him seem weak. Inside, he felt embarrassed, frustrated, and isolated. His symptoms were classic early prostate irritation, slight urgency, slow flow, that nagging feeling of not being empty. He brushed it off every time. He said, "It wasn't painful, so I figured it wasn't serious." But what really bothered him, something he didn't admit until later, was how his energy and confidence changed. He felt less in control of his own body. When we talked, I explained something simple. None of this made him weak. In fact, speaking up takes strength. The body changes with age, and listening to those changes is a sign of maturity, not failure. We walked through step-by-step solutions: diet, movement, hormone support, better bathroom habits, stress reduction, nothing extreme. And the shift came slowly, but it came. 4 weeks later, he told me, "I didn't realize how much this was affecting my mood until I finally felt normal again." That moment, when a man realizes he's getting his life back, is one of the most rewarding parts of my work. Because prostate health isn't just about the prostate. It's about confidence, energy, and being able to live life without constantly thinking about your bladder. Let's take a moment and pull everything together, because when you see the full picture, it becomes much easier to understand what your body has been trying to tell you. The early signs of prostate issues aren't dramatic or painful. They're subtle. They show up in the tiny details of your daily routine, the extra bathroom trip, the longer time standing there waiting, the slight pressure, the heavier feeling in your lower abdomen, the interrupted sleep, the moments you chalk up to just getting older, even though deep down something feels off. But what you need to know is this: your body doesn't make these changes for no reason. There's always a cause. And by catching these early signals, you give yourself the best chance to support your prostate naturally, before those habits turn into real problems. We talked about hydration timing, because drinking your fluids earlier in the day helps your bladder relax at night. We talked about anti-inflammatory foods, tomatoes, berries, cruciferous vegetables, pumpkin seeds, simple additions that help calm irritation and support healthy hormones. We talked about movement, because sitting too long starves the pelvic area of good circulation. Even small walks throughout the day can make a surprising difference. And we broke down the science in plain English. The prostate thickens with age, sometimes because of hormonal shifts, sometimes because of inflammation, and sometimes because of reduced blood flow. None of these changes happen overnight. They build slowly, which means they can also be improved slowly, step by step, with the right habits. We also looked at tension. Most men carry stress in the shoulders, neck, or jaw, but what many never realize is that stress also settles in the pelvic floor. Tight muscles down there add pressure around the prostate and bladder, and simple heat, breathing, or stretching can help everything relax. Then there's the emotional side, the part most men never discuss. Feeling frustrated, feeling older than you are, feeling like your body isn't working the way it used to. These feelings are normal, but they don't have to become your new identity. When the body is supported, confidence returns, energy returns, peace of mind returns. So here's the takeaway. Early prostate symptoms are not a warning that something terrible is happening. They are an invitation, a nudge, a reminder that your body still responds incredibly well to small, practical changes. And if you act early, you stay in control. You stay strong. You stay ahead of what could otherwise become a bigger issue down the road. If this video helped you understand the early signs your body may have been whispering about, do me a quick favor. Give this video a like. It tells YouTube that this kind of men's health content matters, and it helps more men find the information they've been quietly searching for. And don't forget to subscribe. I post new videos every week, all focused on helping men over 50 boost their vitality, protect their long-term health, and stay strong and confident as they age. If you've ever felt like most health advice doesn't really speak to the real issues men face, I'm here to change that. Now, before you go, drop a comment below and tell me what early signs you've noticed, or what questions you'd like me to cover next. You'd be surprised how many men feel the same things but stay silent. Your comment might help someone else feel understood. And here's a little preview of what's coming next. In my next video, I'll share the hidden foods and habits that quietly weaken male hormonal balance after 50, and the simple changes that turn it around fast. If you want better energy, better focus, and better overall vitality, you won't want to miss it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking your health seriously. And remember, your body is always talking. All you have to do is listen. Even after the video's main message, there's something important I want to leave you with. A deeper understanding of how prostate changes actually show up in everyday life. Because most men don't just miss the signs. They reinterpret them. They explain them away in ways that feel harmless, logical, or normal. And it's only later, when the pieces finally click, that they say, I should have paid attention sooner. One of the most common early signs men overlook is subtle bladder impatience. You're sitting in your favorite chair, watching TV, feeling comfortable, and suddenly the urge hits faster than it used to. Not painfully, not urgently, just sharper. Or maybe you notice that your bladder feels full sooner than expected, even when you haven't had much to drink. It's strange for a moment, then easy to forget. But that early urgency is often one of the first signals that the prostate is pushing slightly against the flow of urine. Another sign is what men describe as hesitation time. Instead of your stream starting immediately, there's a pause, a delay, a moment where the muscles and the bladder feel out of sync. You stand there thinking, "Come on." And when it finally starts, it's weaker than you remember. This is one of the classic early warnings, and almost every man ignores it at first. Then there's the sleep angle. Nighttime trips don't begin as a pattern. They begin as a one-off incident. Maybe you drank something too late. Maybe you were restless. Maybe you just happened to wake up and figured, why not use the bathroom while I'm up? It doesn't feel like a new habit, but that first nighttime trip often becomes another one a few nights later, then twice a week, then every night. And most men don't realize this pattern is developing until months have passed. Energy changes are even easier to overlook. You're not exhausted. You're not sick. You're just slower, heavier, less driven. You chalk it up to stress, work, or age. But hormonal shifts connected to the prostate can subtly affect energy, motivation, and even mood. When circulation in the lower abdomen drops and inflammation is present, the body uses more energy just to maintain balance. That background drain adds up. One of the most surprising things men tell me is this: they didn't know how much the prostate affects their overall sense of well-being. It's not a small organ, but it plays a big role in how the body regulates comfort signals, bladder rhythm, hormonal balance, and even emotional steadiness. When the prostate is irritated, the whole lower abdomen feels off, even if you can't pinpoint why. And here's something you won't hear often. Early prostate changes don't only affect the bladder, they affect confidence, quietly, subtly. Most men don't admit it, even to themselves. When your bathroom routine feels unpredictable, you start planning your day differently. You avoid long stretches without a restroom. You feel distracted, less relaxed, less in control. None of this is dramatic, but it's real, and it eats at you over time. The encouraging part is that once men start paying attention, once they realize what these little signs mean, they feel empowered. Instead of brushing things off, they understand their body better. They start making changes. They start caring about circulation, hydration timing, stress levels, and nutrition. And that's when the improvements show up. I've seen men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s make small adjustments and experience noticeable relief. Not because they did something extreme, but because they finally recognized the signals and responded to them. Men often ask me, what's the first step? If I'm noticing these signs, what should I do right now? And here's my honest answer. Don't panic, don't ignore, and don't overcomplicate. Just start with awareness. Awareness changes everything. When you're aware, you naturally begin making choices that support your health instead of stressing your body. For example, when you understand that sitting for hours tightens the pelvic area, you naturally get up and move more. When you recognize that late-night fluids disrupt your bladder rhythm, you start drinking earlier in the day. When you realize certain foods cause irritation, you cut back on them without feeling restricted. Awareness creates change effortlessly. There's also power in routine. Men who build a simple daily pattern, morning hydration, nutrient-rich meals, movement breaks, relaxing the pelvic muscles, and a predictable bedtime, often see results faster than they expect. The prostate responds well to rhythm. It calms down when the body has structure. It reacts positively when circulation improves and inflammation drops. I also want to touch on mindset. Many men associate aging with decline, loss, or limitation. But the truth is, the body remains incredibly adaptable. Even in your 50s, 60s, and beyond, your cells still regenerate, your hormones still respond, your muscles still strengthen, your circulation still improves, and your prostate can still calm, relax, and function better with the right daily support. So if you've watched this far, take this as a message of hope. Not fear, not alarm, hope. Your body isn't breaking down, it's communicating. It's asking for attention before things progress, and that's a gift. Many men don't get that gift until they're much older. You're receiving it now, and that means you have time. Time to improve, time to adjust, time to protect your long-term well-being. Before we wrap this extended section, let me give you a simple 3-word reminder you can carry with you. Notice, adjust, support. Notice the small changes. Adjust your habits. Support your body consistently. Do that, and you'll be ahead of 99% of men your age.